load up some music. And I will try to keep it quiet so that Twitch does not ban my account or block the audio as I'm talking about all this stuff. All right, let's get started here. So, the machine we're going to be working with is called Beep, and it, I don't know much about it other than it's on Linux. I've just been literally going through these in numeric or like in order of the name, which I think is not actually alphabetical. I think they are ordering it by IP address. Yeah. So descending order of IP address. Filtered by difficulty. We're just going through the easy ones until I get my confidence up to the point where maybe we could handle a medium. So yeah, and now thankfully the last one, you know, I got it done in like an hour or so. Much better than my first one, which I almost didn't get. I had to cheat to get it, so technically I didn't get it. All right, so let's. So we know the IP is 10.10.10.7, so let's start doing some recon. I also I got a new alternative to Cherry Tree. Starts with the J. Joplin. Let's see if this will work here. Yeah, hack the box. So we're gonna make a new hack the box, and we're gonna call it Beep. It is Linux, and it is easy. And the IP address is 10.10.10.7. And so let's HackTheBox.eu. Beep. Easy. Okay. IP is 10.10.10.7. So let's start nmapping it. So nmap is a port scanner. It's one of the basics that pretty much everybody should know. If you're watching this and you don't know what nmap is, you can Google it. Don't feel too bad. It's essentially just a way to look and see like what services a computer is offering. So a computer might be running a web server, it might be running an email server, it could be running any number of things. So this is kind of our first way of finding that out. Now actually what I'm realizing is I want to go into here. I want to go into Beep. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to tell nmap to aggressively, capital A for aggressive, scan the machine. We're going to tell it to output the results to a file, and we'll just say like top 1000 because that's what we're only going to look for the top 1000 used ports. A port is basically like is just a number used in the addressing scheme for TCP/IP. So it's a way to basically like refer to commonly used services. A service can really run on any port between 1 and 65.535, but typically a service will stick to a specific port that it's well known for. So like web will be on 80 or 443, stuff like that. And so this will scan the top 1000 ports, and then we will give it the IP address. And let's see if that works. I think that's right. It is case sensitive, so if I flipped around the O and the A, then I could be wrong, but that's all right. I also need to update my Kali instance at some point. I know the new Kali came out recently, so I think 2020.2. I don't think there's any new nmaps out though. Check. What's the latest nmap version? 780. Yep, so we're good. Now this is taking a little while. I'm assuming we can reach it. Maybe we should have checked that first. Yeah, can't. So it's just taking a little while to scan. Oh. Alright, so while we're waiting for it to scan, is there any other type of recon we can do? What does the website tell us about it? So the website tells us that it is likely running a big CVE. It says real life. I don't know what exactly that means. And enumeration's high. So our nmap will probably give us a fair amount of information. And it's likely that whatever software is running on the machine will be vulnerable to a known issue. CVE, what does CVE stand for? Common vulnerability something? And vulnerabilities and exposures. So CVE is a big database that's put together by MITRE.org and I think a few other people. And CVEs have like reference numbers that start with the year. So you can see, so it's basically a big database of vulnerabilities, and I forget what they start at. They start at 1 or 1,000, I don't know. And they just count up until they click over to the new year. So this is like the 5,365th vulnerability for the year. I'm actually not sure if that's right. If we type in... Okay, 0067, so maybe they do start at 0. So if I type in CVE 2020-001, yeah, we'll get something. Okay. And get process record locked of activity manager service.java. Ooh, sounds like Android. Isolated apps are not handled correctly. This could lead to local escalation of privilege with no additional escalation privileges needed. User interaction is not needed for exploitation. Vulnerable versions 8, 8.1, 9, and 10. Ooh, that's rough. So if I believe activity manager service.java is in the standard like Android library. So if that's the case, that means it's a vulnerability in Android that could allow a malicious app to escalate privileges to root, which would mean they could own your phone. That's probably not good. Is there a known exploit for it? 7.8 high, because you would need to install something, I suppose. It's not over the network. And that is why you buy, or you get your apps off the Google Play Store, and you only download from publishers you trust and know beforehand. Because if you just start downloading any random crap off the Play Store, it could theoretically go and exploit this activity manager service.java and install a virus on your phone. So that's why we don't trust the App Store. Now this is still running. I'm a little disappointed at how long this is going. Question is, do we want to just wait for it? Do we want to do something else? We could try, let's get Burp set up and talking to the network. Here. So in my setup, and I'll tell you a little bit about this while we wait, I like to keep Burp on the local machine that I am using at the moment. The reason for that, like, I don't like having, like, putting Burp on Kali, and then because I like using Windows, using the nice GUI, using my note-keeping apps, using Chrome with lots of RAM. So I try to do all my hacking that I possibly can from Windows itself. And then, but what they tell you to do with Hack the Box is to not put the actual Hack the Box VPN on your, personal machine. So I have a server in my closet that you can't really hear, and it's running a Kali VM, and the Kali VM is VPN'd into Hack the Box. And then what we do is we set up SSH port forwarding. So what that means is SSH is a protocol that you use to control the Kali Linux box. It's basically like a remote command line server, or remote command line kind of protocol. And included in the SSH protocol is the ability to forward network traffic between the client and the server machine. And so I tell it to essentially open up a port on my local machine that is then tunneled by SSH and comes out the other end on my Kali box. And so whatever machines my Kali box has access to, I now get access to as a SSH client of the Kali box. And so we can use that basically in tandem with the HackTheBox VPN to give ourselves access to the HackTheBox network through SSH so that I can then access it on Windows. So let's try getting that going here. We were trying to run burp. We had to update it. We also got our Nmap results back, so we will take a look at that in a minute. It looks a little weird. I don't recognize a lot of that stuff. Actually, you know what? Well, it says it's running a server. I don't know. Okay, so we're gonna make a new project on here. I will call it beep. We will see if we have a HackTheBox. We don't. No. Now, I thought I had a config file. Yeah. Did that work? Stream proxy servers. Socks proxy. Here we go. Use socks proxy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now if I try to browse, now we have to tell Foxy Proxy to use port 12345. It looks like we have the config set in here, but we need to tell it, give it a pattern. So what I'm doing right now is I have a plugin for Chrome that will forward the traffic, the web traffic through a proxy. The proxy is going to be my SSH port that's open on my machine that's forwarding through to Kali. And we're gonna tell it to only open up stuff through or with this IP address range. And then it should treat everything else as normal. We're gonna disable this. Just is that possible? Okay. So let's try it. 7. And voila. So what just happened is that we got Chrome to use Burp Suite Pro as... actually, should it? No, it didn't go through Burp Suite. It went through the proxy itself, the SSH port itself. Burp Suite is running on port 8080, so we need to change this up. We're going to put the same pattern on Burp Suite. Okay. And now, if we tell Chrome to reload it, does that go through? Intercept is off. I think I screwed up something. So burp should be going through the socks proxy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we should be seeing our traffic here. I think maybe it's just because it's cached, it's not loading it. Let's just try let's try logging in. Admin. I have no idea what it's doing. All right, let's go back to our nmap scan and take a look at this here. Okay. So I see a fair amount. Let's copy this over to our notes. Okay, so we have SMTP, we have HTTP. It looks like HTTP just redirects to port 443. I think my VM is very confused about the time. We have POP3, which is a kind of email service. I'm kind of surprised to see that. I wouldn't be surprised if that is vulnerable, especially the fact that it has the version number in the string, the service string. We see RPC bind. We see IMAP, which is another email protocol. Our HTTPS, which we just looked at. Another IMAP over, this time over TLS instead of plain text. And I'm guessing 995 is the same thing. A MySQL port is open. Port 4445 is open. I'm not sure what that is. It might be Universal Plug and Play. And then 10,000 is Webmin. Interesting. Let's see if we can load a Webmin. I'm very confused as to why Burp Suite is apparently processing the traffic, but none of the traffic is showing up. It's not because I have scope set. So I don't know. I'm guessing Chrome is confused. We delete that. Will it still do the same thing? Should be running on port 8080, right? Yeah. In fact, if we tell this to just use burp, what'll happen? Okay, there we go. That worked. Alright. Now if we say to use this, will it load it through burping? It will. Okay, cool. Alright, now we're good. So, it looks like we don't have a login to Webmin. We don't have a login to the main site. And this is elastics. Alright. Let's go back to our notes, try to regroup here. So, I think maybe the next step... Oh, we also have a MySQL unauthorized port open. Let's try poking at that. Now, there's a way to access the MySQL database through the command line. If I just type in MySQL, work. Local SQL server. DB name. Can we tell it to connect to a specific port? Host. That's it. Connect to the MariaDB server on the given host. Port. Okay, try that. Thinking about it. Nope. Error. Host 10.10.14.21 is not allowed to connect to this MySQL server. So let's put this in our notes here. Okay. Services. Web 443 Elastics. Let's see if we can get a version of Elastics that we were looking at. Is there a version number? Don't see it. Alright. Unknown version. We also have web port 10,000 webmin. See if we, I think the nmap had a webmin version. Well, it had a miniserve version. Alright. Now we have our POP3. So we'll say email 110 143 993 995. It is Cyrus 237 -7 EL5 64. EL5 I think is like Enterprise Linux, so it's probably like Red Hat Enterprise Linux version 5, but then it's 5_6.4, so I forget if they label, like if Red Hat 6 is just labeling their packages as EL5, I don't remember. Alright, so we have these different services, and probably what would be good is to just go through and check to see what we can do with each of these services, and also try to figure out if one of them is vulnerable to something. Now, I think Cyrus is probably a good start because we don't know, or we know this version, but we don't know like the 4.4 Elastic's version. So let's check out exploit DB. And we're gonna search for Cyrus. All right. It looks like we have lots of vulnerabilities, but maybe none that would apply to our version. We are running 237. I'm not seeing any 237 vulnerabilities. What was I trying last time? It was the search exploit. Cyrus? Same thing. Okay. Well, should we try Webmin? Let's try Webmin. I'm sure there's a crap load of stuff for Webmin. It is pretty bad. And what is our version of Webmin that we were looking at? This is doable, right? Yes, we can do that. Okay. Serve 1.570. That is old. There's this one. Let's take a look at that. And execution, multiple vulnerabilities. Execution. Could also try any of these newer ones, but they might not be applicable. Alright, so let's take a look. 580. This is, I mean, I'm picking this because it's probably the closest in terms of the versions. So it's likely that the CTF author tested this and tried to find like the closest Webmin version he could. Module exploits an arbitrary command execution vulnerability in Webmin 580. Exists in the shows CGI component, allows an authenticated user with access to the file manager module to execute arbitrary commands with root privileges. This has been tested successfully with WebIM 580 version 2 10.04. So let's copy this, put it over here. I can do this. Copy paste. I have to switch from web or Macs to Windows every day, so I always forget which button to push for copy paste now. Authenticated priv-esc to root. All right. With the file manager module. So that was a dead end. This was also a dead end. We decided that because we didn't see anything above 232. No ones above 232. Now it's possible that this 232 or this 237 version is like Red Hat's version of it. So and they have like they fork stuff to patch stuff themselves, so it's possible their version's different. But yeah, this doesn't. I suspect it's not gonna be vulnerable. that's a really easy exploit though. It might be worth trying. 2006 seems really old. Cyrus 237. Huh. Alright, well let's put this in here. What is Cyrus up to nowadays? No. 320. So 237 is pretty old. Alright. Let's take a look at elastics. I think I remember an elastics vulnerability when I was doing my OSCP. Elastics. Yep. Multiple cross-site scripting. Now we don't have the version number, so we don't know if any of these will work. We also don't have a login. Pre-authenticated. That could be nice. Huh. Should we try it? Let's try that. It said pre-authenticated? Is that right? Well, let's search for free PBX or elastics in here. Search split. Yeah. Oh, this is okay. What my old button for? Alright. So let's see here. We are going to open up, let's go into machine. Oh, beep, like a phone beep. I think I just got it. Alright, so we're gonna open up the Metasploit console. No database support. Those. Section 1 died of dysentery. Okay. Search elastics. Call me no. remote code execution. That would appear to be the one we want. A range of local extension numbers, that worries me a little bit. If I have this right or not. Set our host. Set our port. Set SSL. And then how do we pick a vulnerability? I always forget this part. Set payload. Is there like a show payload? Payloads. Compatible payloads. Alright, so no Metasploit right off the bat. We can still do this. I'm just wondering which payload to use here. Let's say we do set payload, command, Unix, reverse, cat, bash, go bash. Show options, set L host, and we need our IP address. And 10, 14, 21. Should we try it? Export. Nope. TH key too small. So Metasploit cannot negotiate the SSL because the cipher suite is too old. Cool. And this is the cipher suite of the server. So it's basically like the VM is running such an old OS that the SSL service is causing an error with Metasploit because Metasploit uses a recent version of OpenSSL. I guess we can just look at the exploit code and try it. Now that's going to be an issue though. if my OpenSSL for the entire machine will not load, if OpenSSL on the VM itself refuses to negotiate a connection, then that's going to be an issue, because then no matter what thing I run, it's going to fail. Now we could try forcing it to port 80, but based on the nmap, I don't think that's going to work. I'm guessing what's happening right now is it's just gonna get, it's getting like a redirect. See Apache right here, when nmap tried it, it just got a redirect to HTTPS. Yeah, so that failed. What do we want to try next? Let's take a look at the code here. This looks doable. Just use this. Now I've noticed that copy pasting from Python for some reason, like, it has been acting weird. Or copy paste like into Vim with Python has been acting weird. Let's see if it continues to do that. Actually, this should be on my machine already, right? Should be one of these, 18650. Exploit DB. Wait. PHP. Remote. 18. No. I think the answer should have been in here, right? There's 18650. Exploit. Ugh, come on. Interesting, my up and down arrows don't work. Huh. Okay, another weird thing to put on the list of things to fix, but that is okay. So we are wanting to search for elastics. We are wanting to use the elastics vulnerability or exploit in exploit DB, exploits PHP web apps 18650. Copy it to here. Now edit. So this is Mutz himself wrote this? Okay. Our host. Ten, 7. Localhost 10, 10, 14, 21. Is that right? And 10, 14, 21, yeah. I think I missed the order of this. Our host is us. L host is them. L port is that. Extension is them, sure. And then it opens the URL. And then it says on Elastic, once we have a shell, we can escalate to root. So on his backtrack machine, he netcatted 2443 and just got a shell. Oh, this was then, okay, okay. So local is us. Okay, I screwed up. Local's us. Remote is them, which would make sense. Now, he put 443 here because we're going to open up a netcat port on 443 and it's going to connect back to us using this fancy payload, which I have no idea if it'll work, but if it does, that'd be great. So that means that we want to do two things. We want to copy him and see LVP 443. Ugh. Okay. And then in another window here, we're gonna launch the exploit. Now, 20 bucks says this exploit was written for Python 2, so we need to make sure to use Python 2 on this, because I'm guessing that our default Python is 3. Yep. What happens if I do Python 2? We do have it. Okay, cool. So if I say Python 2, 18 pop, or unsupported protocol. That's amusing. This is an interesting problem, which I've never run into on a CTF before, which is that the vulnerable machine is so old that I cannot negotiate SSL with it because all of my programs are relying on the OS's OpenSSL, and the OS's OpenSSL is so newer that it is just simply refusing to connect to this extremely old VM, or extremely old vulnerable machine. Interesting. So what does that mean? I think it means that we need to go and download maybe another VM of like an older VM that would have this compatible OpenSSL. Now I'm curious, can we do have it, okay. I'm curious what these cipher suites that are so old actually are. And we can go figure out. Because unsupported protocol, that means it's like, it's not a matter of like AES versus triple DES, it's a matter of like SSL v2 or v3 versus TLS 1.0. In which case that would make sense that OpenSSL is just completely blocking my connection to it. Because even Python, I think, relies on like the OS's version. Alright, what do we got here? TLS 1.0 cipher suites accepted with RC4 and triple DES and AES. It connected with this. on TLS 1.0. I'm very surprised that OpenSSL is just throwing an error with that. I don't think that's that bad. It should have been able to negotiate that. Is OpenSSL... I mean, sure, I could understand not wanting to negotiate OpenSSL 3.0. And it didn't connect on SSL 2.0. Now, it could be that the certificate key size is 1024, so it could have choked on that if it didn't like that. I'm still very surprised, though. Should be version 11D. I don't see the part where it's blocking connections to TLS 1.0. Let's go Google the error. We didn't get a connection, right? Unbelievable. I cannot copy paste for the life of me, and it is one of the most annoying things I have experienced in a long time. Your host only offers TLS 1.0. I think this protocol was disabled in recent Kali and Debian versions, so you can't connect to the host. Make sure you have these lines in openssl.com. Wow. Who knew? Who knew? I mean, it makes sense from a security perspective to enforce strong security in a distribution known for security, but it is a little frustrating. Let's just search because we're not going to find this apparently. System default. Yeah, look at that, min protocol. Ugh. What? Okay. Thank you. in protocol TLS 1.2. Right there. Changing a read-only file. Of course. Apparently I don't know my Vim well enough. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna have to reboot? I don't know. Let's just try it again. Certificate verify failed. Okay. I'm sure it's in here. OpenSSL.cnf certificate fail. Let's see if it's easily findable in here, I guess. Well, I mean, it's a self-signed cert, right? Or it's just a badly signed cert? What did our, Well, I didn't know that this was going to become an exercise in OpenSSL configs. I wasn't really looking forward to that. Alright, well. Let's go Google the error. You can set Python HTTPS verify to 0. Or does that really work? Export Python HTTPS verify equals 0. That wouldn't work, would it? It worked, but no dice. Could it be the port, like Kali paralleling it? It uses IP table. I don't think it's blocking traffic. Huh. I mean, maybe we just have the vulnerability wrong. That would be a bummer. Oh, dice. Let's do some here. Let's edit our Python script to simply print the URL. And what happens if we just curl that URL? Alright. So we give it a dash dash insecure. And what are we getting in return? Voice message. Quality control. Call failed. Perhaps the line was busy. So that was why the Metascript cycled through a bunch of extensions. And try changing this to like 100 or 10. See what happens. Oh, nothing though. Could be that this is just the wrong exploit. Alright, well... I've been streaming for an hour now. Not made a lot of progress. I'm considering just stopping. Why don't we admit defeat and take a look at the write-up, see what we're doing wrong. Sure, we're on the right track. So he just guessed another exploit. We tried the remote execution. Oh, I didn't see an LFI. Oh, graph.php local file include 220. It was the same version. Huh. Okay, so that was it. So we just missed the exploit. We tried one. We could have tried all of them. I mean, I guess that makes sense. We exploit elastics. So this is the other one, I guess, that we missed out on. And it was the same version. And it's a Perl file. So it could have gotten us the stuff. Let's try it again. Maybe... Looks like it's getting our input. Why? It's really just gonna work that easy. Am I missing? It doesn't. Okay. Perl script is broken. Oh, he just pulled the... He pulled it right out of there. It's not gonna let me select with my mouse. Oh my god. Huh. That didn't work. I like that I'm cheating and I still can't get it to work. Copy. Paste. Same thing. Huh. That is amusing. I mean, that's what we're doing. Maybe it has to do with this prefix? Oh. There we go. That is the issue. No. Guessing that percent %OO is important. There we go. Let's capture that. He mentioned using GoBuster. Let's I hate Go, to be honest. Does this just come with GoBuster? No, of course not. Why would it? Okay. Alright, so what we're doing is we are brute forcing the base directory of the web server to see what stuff we have available to us. That was probably something we should have done as part of our enumeration that we just missed. I missed. And so as the walkthrough was talking about, he found this /admin endpoint and then put the stuff from the config file that he found and used it to authenticate. So let's take a look at the file that he's talking about. And you can see here, it looks like we have a username, *user, and a password, which is random, so we need to actually be able to get into this. And then a manager user and manager pass. So now we can probably go to 7/admin and use this username and password. If it doesn't let me copy paste from the terminal, seems odd. Alright. And here we go. So we are making progress here, slowly but surely. We have to cheat a little bit. Now I imagine there's going to be command. Where am I? Okay. Okay, I think my brain is officially fried. So I think I'm going to call it for tonight. I mean, we got into the phone system, we just didn't have enough patience to try all the different exploits. And we were... Now this is 281. So I'm kind of surprised that it's a fair amount higher in the version number, and yet it's still vulnerable to that same issue. It's kind of surprising. But yeah, from here, I think what we would need to do is go through, maybe look back at some of these other exploits, and see what we can do with this access. I'm guessing there's something in here that's going to let us either run a command. I mean, that CLI was probably a good starting point. Yeah, here we go, execute a shell command. A lot of crap. And on conference. PWD. It's weird. Just thinking. It's not showing me the result. That's interesting. Asterisk API settings. Not seeing anything right off the bat that jumps out to me that would show me how we could execute a command. I mean, that execute a shell command seemed like that would be it, right? So I'm not sure. Maybe we need to put more effort into trying to find that one or figure out what's going on with that one. Alright. So maybe I'll do some reading, or we just see how they did it. Oh, interesting. They just SSH'd into it. Huh. And then they could just get the flag. Yeah. Well, that's a little disappointing. We can't even use the app itself to try and like escalate privileges or do something interesting. It's just we get the password and then we SSH in as that user, or as that as that user. Usually when I see SSH open, I expect it will be for like their management, like the game owners to manage the box if something breaks. So the fact that that comes into it is kind of surprising. Also, we didn't see port 22 open in the nmap, so maybe they changed that later on. Should we see if somebody else's write-up is different? Oh, they found a different split. Interesting. In the Tiger CRM. And they were able to get Metasploit. Interesting. Is this the same? Yeah, this is the same one. Huh. Well, maybe this is the way we were supposed to do it. Please. Perfect. That's weird. Okay, I think I am done for today. Alright, thanks everybody for watching. Have a good one. Talk to y'all.